Okay, so we have our data here that represents the hours and the battery life, and we want to determine if there is a linear correlation between the hours since you take your cell phone off of the charger and its battery life. And so we're going to input this data into our calculator on the stat edit screen. And so I'm going to go to stat edit, and in L1 I'm going to put in my X values, which represent my hours. And so making sure not to have a typo here, very carefully just typing them in one at a time. And then once you are done with your X values, which again are representing the hours, you want to arrow over to L2 and start entering in your Y values, which represent your battery life percentage. And again, making sure that you're lining up the points and not having any typos so that you get the correct data. Now, once you have that typed in, what you want to make sure of is that the calculator will give you the correlation coefficient. And so to make sure of that, you want to go to mode, and then it's easier actually to arrow up to where it says stat diagnostics. And you want to make sure that those are turned on before you go any further. And so make sure the stat diagnostics are on, and then you can second quit to go back to the home screen, and then back to stat, and then arrow over to calc. And we want to do a linear regression, which is option 4. And so if I hit enter, it's going to ask me what my X list is. Well, that's L1. My Y list is L2. The frequency list can be left blank, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to store the regression equation into an equation into Y1. And so the way that we're going to do that is by hitting alpha and then trace, which represents F4, and then choosing the highlighted option, which is Y1. And then if you just arrow down to calculate and hit enter, then the calculator will give you the linear regression function. And so you see here that it gives you y equals ax plus b, where a is negative 4.584, etc. B is the y-intercept, 95.948, etc. And r squared is your correlation coefficient. And you can see there a correlation coefficient very close to 1, which would indicate that this does have some sort of linear model. Now, if you want to use your linear regression to say, figure out what the battery life percentage would be whenever the phone has been off the charger for 12 hours. Then in order to do that, what you want to do is just hit second quit. And if I go to the y equals screen real quick, notice that that regression equation has been stored into Y1. And so going back to the home screen, if we hit alpha trace Y1, this actually acts like function notation. And so I'm going to open a parentheses and type in 12, and this will give the prediction for the battery life percentage whenever the phone has been off the charger for 12 hours. So you can see it's about 41% would be the prediction based on this line of best fit.